Hello, everyone. Together, we are Dr. Chukwudu, Amadodu, Professor Hermans, and Mudongo. We're excited to present our research on bilingual programming, a study of student attitudes in an African context. While we couldn't join you today in person at Koli Calling this year, we're very grateful for the opportunity to share our work with you virtually. My name is Emma, and I'll be taking you through the first half of this presentation. As computer science expands globally, particularly in the Global South, there is a growing challenge to make programming accessible to non-native English speakers. English serves as the default language of STEM, and programming languages also happen to be deeply rooted in the English language. So this creates barriers for students who are still developing their English proficiency. And while many believe that coding is for everyone, because programming languages are grounded in the English language, it's more accurate to say perhaps this is true as long as they speak English. This idea is central to our work, and particularly focuses on the importance of contextualization. For students who are not fluent in English, the terminologies that are used in the classroom may be interpreted differently, leading to potential confusion and unintended outcomes. We talk a little bit more about this in our presentation today. Prior research on the efficacy of bilingual programming instruction has produced inconsistent findings. While some studies have reported improved comprehension and motivation among students who receive instruction either bilingually or in their native language, there are other studies that have highlighted potential challenges that are often associated with instruction being given in one's native language or bilingually. So this study takes a unique approach by integrating native languages in text-based programming elements like syntax, comments, and other contextualized examples. Rather than focusing on skill outcomes, we emphasize student attitudes and behaviors, specifically how bilingual programming can shape a student's experience and their interactions within coding. Our research is also conducted in sub-Saharan Africa, where there is a lot of linguistic diversity, and this is a key consideration for accessible education. Our main research focus is to explore how bilingual programming instruction influences students' perceptions of programming, their engagement with programming activities, and their overall attitudes towards computer science. The specific research questions we ask are: does bilingual programming impact program creation metrics? Does bilingual programming influence attitudes like confidence, enjoyment, and sense of belonging in computing? And how do students describe their experiences coding in their native language? So let's go into our methodology a bit more. Our study included 285 students from 18 different high schools in Botswana. We divided them into two groups. 123 students were in a bilingual Setswana English group, while 162 students were in an English-only group. All students who participated were between the ages of 16 and 18 years old. The activity was completed by students within a 2-hour coding session using the HEDI platform, which supports progressive or gradual learning and offers immediate feedback. This session was structured around a use, modify, create framework, which encouraged students to experiment with code actively. To gauge changes in students' attitudes towards programming, we administered pre- and post surveys from Wanzer et al.'s Attitudes Towards Computing Scale. These surveys captured specific aspects of the students' self-perception as programmers, their enjoyment of programming activity, and their beliefs of the relevance of programming in their daily lives. When tracking programming progress and analyzing impact, we collected detailed records of student activities on the HEDI platform, which included exercises completed, code length, and the concepts used. This data that was collected provided insights into programming engagement and a student's skill progression throughout the activity. We used a mixed model ANOVA in SPSS to evaluate the pre and post activity attitude changes across the different language groups. Again, they were bilingual and English language groups. Independent t-tests ensured baseline similarity between groups, and a Mann-Whitney test analyzed programming behavior. Interestingly, the bilingual group used a broader range of programming concepts, such as variables and print statements. We'll discuss this in the next slides to come. We also used qualitative thematic analysis to explore bilingual coding experiences of the student participants, and this focused on students' reflections about their coding in Setswana.
Thank you, Emma, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Ethel Tukudu, and I'll be walking us through the results of our study. We collected some intriguing insights on how bilingual programming impacts students' engagement, their overall attitudes, as well as their own experiences. I'll be sharing our key findings, highlighting patterns we observed, and discussing what these results suggest for us. The students in our study were evaluated based on their engagement with the HERDI platform, a tool that supports gradual programming and multilingual use. Our first key finding shows no significant differences in the number of lines of code produced by students working in the bilingual versus the English conditions. This result suggests that the language used during programming tasks may not directly influence the code's length. This consistency in code length may be due to the structured nature of our activities. This is because students were given clear step-by-step instructions of each task. Students were given equal time to complete the programming tasks. We do observe, however, that the bilingual students completed more exercises as compared to the English learners, and these results were significant. So this suggests that when students were programming in the bilingual language, it may have influenced their engagement with the platform. This aligns with the research by Molina and colleagues, where they found that students ask more questions and are more engaged when the medium of instruction is bilingual. Our next finding shows that the students who were coding in Setswana and English used more programming concepts like the print statement, the variables, and user inputs, averaging 4.89 concepts compared to the 3.82 that were used by the English group. And these results, again, were highly significant. This suggests that bilingual programming can enhance both understanding and engagement. These results align with the work that was conducted by Raj and colleagues, where they found that bilingual instruction had an impact on student engagement and classroom interaction by creating more discussion with the Tamil and the English as compared to the English-only classroom. Interestingly, many students chose to use Setswana names for variables, and some even modified English example code to Setswana terms, as you can see in the picture in the slide, where they name the variable with Setswana name like Dijo, and then the inputs are also in Setswana like Obatlaeng. So this is quite interesting, and it suggests that incorporating native languages in programming can increase their comfort. And it's very similar to, again, Raj and colleagues' finding on this positive impact in using the native language. Now we get into the results of the pre-post attitudes. The good news is that both the groups showed overall improvements in attitudes such as confidence, enjoyment, belonging, importance. However, there were no significant differences between the bilingual and the English group. This may be due to the short intervention that was carried. Some prior work suggests that longer interventions can have greater impact and help reveal differences based on language or other factors. Still, the findings highlight the potential for short-term interventions to foster positive attitudes across diverse groups. Still, though, interestingly, the bilingual group showed significant improvement in terms of the comfort level. The familiarity of native language may create the psychological safer learning environment. And again, it aligns with prior work by previous researchers where they highlighted the role of native language in boosting students' comfort during classroom interactions. Next, we'll explore students' personal experiences with bilingual programming based on their own words. 66% of students reported enjoying coding in bilingual environment, highlighting that there is positive experience of programming in native language. One student said, "I was enjoying it since it gave me a chance to use the language I was comfortable with," while the other one said, "It was nice having to use my mother tongue or native language to code." 29% of students found the material easier to understand using familiar language in learning materials. One student even said, "It was easy because I could understand everything." This aligns with other colleagues who've done similar studies around using native language to teach programming. Some students even showed surprise and discovery, with one student saying it wasn't that bad. It was actually a nice experience, and I didn't even know you could code in Setswana. Despite all these positive experiences, a few students found bilingual programming challenging, which may suggest that while many students benefit from using their native language, it may not be universally advantageous. This could be due to factors such as regional dialects and the difficulty of translating technical concepts into native language. This highlights the importance of educators to carefully consider languages that are being used and to make sure there is clarity. In summary, bilingual programming enhances students' engagement and understanding. And in the context of our study, the students were learning in both Setswana and English to code and focusing on changing the actual syntax in the programming language. So our students reported greater comfort and enjoyment. And our study highlights that using both English and Setswana can positively impact the learning outcomes and boost students' comfort and concept comprehension. On the overall, we feel that bilingual programming has the potential to bridge the gaps in computing education, enhancing accessibility and engagement for learners from diverse backgrounds. Expanding studies across various regions will further validate these findings and provide insights into the long-term impact of bilingual programming on students' outcomes.
Thank you so much for listening to our presentation. Please feel free to reach out to us for any questions, any feedback, or even for collaboration. Once again, we thank you for this opportunity.